Sky-high secrets. Picture this. Your country is struggling. Hospitals are short of medicine. Classrooms overflow with students. Power cuts are routine. But somewhere above the clouds, your president is reclining in a gold-trimmed private jet, sipping champagne and cruising at 40,000 feet, all funded by taxpayers. Across Africa, the skies have witnessed some of the most extravagant presidential spending imaginable. Luxury jets, endless entourages, mid-air feasts, and secret charters disguised as official missions. Today, we're taking you behind the curtains of power to expose the 7 biggest ways African presidents have lavished public income on flights. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll realize just how deep this obsession with airborne luxury really goes. Chapter 1. The Golden Jets of Power. The first and most visible form of presidential excess takes flight through custom-built private jets. These aren't simple aircraft for efficient travel. They're flying palaces. Some leaders have spent hundreds of millions buying or leasing luxury planes outfitted with marble bathrooms, plush leather seats, and gold-plated fixtures. A few even have meeting rooms, bedrooms, and prayer spaces built right in. When most citizens struggle to afford a ticket on a domestic flight, the symbolism of such spending is staggering. In several nations, new administrations have justified these purchases as necessary for prestige, claiming the head of state must travel in style. But critics call them flying monuments to vanity. What most people don't realize is that the cost doesn't end at the purchase. Maintaining a presidential jet can burn through millions every year. Pilots' salaries, maintenance crews, hangar storage, and international landing fees. And every time a president decides to upgrade to a newer model, another fortune vanishes into thin air. In a continent where one flight hour could fund an entire village's water project, these aircraft stand as symbols of misplaced priorities. Beautiful, powerful, and painfully expensive. Chapter 2. The Private Charters and Mystery Flights. When the official aircraft isn't available, or when leaders want privacy away from scrutiny, many turn to private charters. Private jet companies worldwide know this business well. Short notice, luxury interiors, and clients who don't like questions. Some flights are recorded under diplomatic missions. Others vanish from public records entirely. Chartering costs can run into hundreds of thousands of dollars per trip, especially for intercontinental journeys. Yet governments often pay without hesitation, labeling them as urgent diplomatic travel. What makes this practice controversial is the opacity. Who approved the charter? Why that route? Why that specific aircraft? Often, there's no public explanation. In some cases, presidents have claimed friends paid the bills, a statement so vague it raises more questions than answers. Were those friends private donors, corporations, foreign governments? Private charters give leaders convenience, but they also blur the line between state duty and personal indulgence. And when citizens are tightening belts, the optics of their leader flying in secret luxury can feel like betrayal written across the sky. Chapter 3. The Endless Entourages. If you think the cost stops with the president, think again. Enter the entourages, the never-ending lists of aides, ministers, advisors, relatives, and security officers who accompany leaders on trips. A single state visit can mean chartering multiple planes to carry assistants, journalists, personal chefs, and ceremonial staff. Each seat means another ticket, another per diem, another hotel bill, another meal allowance. In some cases, the total cost of the entourage dwarfs the actual diplomatic benefit of the trip itself. Critics often joke that some African presidential trips look more like airborne carnivals than serious missions. Photographers, stylists, personal doctors, entire kitchens, nothing is left behind. Every additional person inflates expenses exponentially. Food catering, baggage handling, airport security, and accommodation. Yet few question it, because the spectacle has become normalized. That's just how power travels. But for citizens on the ground, watching headlines about hundreds of millions spent on official visits, it feels like a cruel paradox. Their leaders flying high while they're grounded in hardship. Chapter 4. Personal trips, public money. Sometimes the line between official and personal travel simply disappears. Presidents take flights for weddings, family vacations, even medical checkups abroad, all billed to the public purse under the label state duty. During the decades of one of Africa's most notorious rulers, luxurious flights to Europe were routine. Private shopping excursions, holiday stops, even detours to luxury resorts, all covered by taxpayers. This habit hasn't vanished. In some modern states, the same trend continues quietly. Private leisure disguised as diplomacy. The justifications are endless: security needs, urgent meetings, diplomatic courtesy. But in reality, these flights are often little more than private getaways with public funding. The irony? Some of these journeys occur in nations where citizens can barely afford domestic bus fare. It's one thing to govern from a position of strength. It's another to turn governance into a lifestyle of luxury above the clouds. Chapter 5. The hidden costs. Maintenance, procurement, and kickbacks. Behind every glamorous flight lies an even more profitable scheme: the maintenance and procurement web. When an aircraft needs repairs, refueling, or upgrades, specialized contracts are issued. These contracts can be manipulated. Inflated prices, fake repairs, ghost suppliers, insider deals. Fuel suppliers are handpicked, spare parts are mysteriously overpriced, and consulting fees quietly change hands. A single maintenance invoice can conceal millions siphoned through shell companies. Because aviation is technical and opaque, it's the perfect place to hide corruption. Who's going to check the cost of a hydraulic system, or a turbine inspection, or specialized hangar fees in Dubai or Paris? Meanwhile, presidents smile for the cameras boarding their jets, while the invisible paperwork behind those flights drains national budgets. This is corruption in its most refined form, not through envelopes of cash, but through polished invoices and polished jets. Chapter 6. Splitting the bill. How budgets get buried. Here's one of the cleverest tricks in the book: splitting flight expenses across multiple government departments. Imagine this. The Defense Ministry pays for fuel. The Foreign Affairs Department covers travel allowances. The Presidency funds catering, and the Finance Ministry handles security logistics. Separately, none of these numbers seem alarming. But together, they form a monstrous bill that no single auditor can easily trace. This strategy makes accountability nearly impossible. When Parliament requests an expense breakdown, each ministry shrugs. We only covered our part. Meanwhile, the true total remains hidden behind bureaucratic smoke. Some nations have developed entire VIP travel units just to manage this complexity, effectively institutionalizing secrecy. And since aviation often falls under national security or diplomatic immunity, journalists rarely get access to records. It's a system built for plausible deniability. Every part looks innocent until you add them all up. Chapter 7. The Shield of Secrecy. The final and most effective method is secrecy itself. Presidential flights are wrapped in confidentiality. They're labeled VIP Protocol, National Security, or Classified Diplomatic Missions. Once that label is applied, transparency disappears. No public report, No flight manifest, no detailed accounting. Everything is justified in the name of safety and diplomacy. This secrecy becomes a fortress against accountability. Even auditors general, anti-corruption agencies, and opposition lawmakers struggle to penetrate it. Under this shield, flights can be added, routes changed, costs doubled, and no one can legally question the details. Citizens only see photographs of leaders descending airplane stairs, waving flags, unaware of the astronomical price of that moment. It's the perfect irony. The people who pay for the journey are the last to know where their money goes. Chapter 8. Patterns in the Clouds. Look closely, and you'll see recurring patterns across nations. Every luxury flight, every secret jet, every overstuffed entourage shares three common traits: secrecy, prestige, and impunity. The logic behind them is the same: to display power through the sky. The bigger the plane, the brighter the signal. I have arrived. In some regions, presidential jets have become status symbols as essential as palaces or convoys. A new leader takes office and immediately wants a new jet, as if the aircraft itself confers legitimacy. Meanwhile, citizens endure fuel shortages, poor roads, and unemployment. But in the world of political optics are everything. To some presidents, arriving at a summit in an old aircraft would be an embarrassment, so the Treasury pays the price for pride. The tragedy is that public service becomes secondary to image management. Chapter 9. The Real Cost to the Continent. Beyond the numbers, there's a deeper cost, one of trust and morality. Every time public funds are misused for airborne luxury, it sends a message that leadership is about entitlement, not service. That culture trickles down. Ministers see it, bureaucrats imitate it, corruption multiplies. Soon, the entire public sector begins to mirror the same arrogance, using state resources as personal property. This is why lavish flight spending isn't just financial waste, it's moral decay. And the saddest part? Every dollar that funds these excesses could have changed lives. A single international flight could renovate hospitals, build rural airstrips for medical aid, or supply electricity to thousands. Instead, that money vanishes into the clouds, fueling egos rather than economies. A final descent, so, what have we seen? 7 ways, 7 clouds of indulgence, through which African presidents have turned aviation into luxury rather than duty. 1. Golden jets of power. 2. Private charters and mystery flights. 3. Endless entourages. 4. Personal trips with public money. 5. Hidden maintenance kickbacks. 6. Split budgets that bury accountability. 7. The ultimate shield of secrecy. All of them share one truth: that excess flourishes where transparency fails. But knowledge is the first step toward change. The more these stories are told, the fewer leaders will dare repeat them. If you've made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who still believes it's just a flight. Because in reality, it's a flight paid for by millions who never boarded. This is not just about jets. It's about justice. And until the skies of Africa reflect integrity as bright as its sun, the story of power and privilege above the clouds will keep being told.